And welcome back to redheart.com as well as the Crochet Crowd. I'm your host Mikey here at the helm as we show you another crochet tutorial. In today's project, this is video number 3 of 6, and in today's video we are still working on the spring fling pillow, but we're working on the motif that exists right at the very bottom of the flower, and we're doing that one next. Now you'll understand that the next two that are above it are a bit smaller, but it's a lot easier to understand this pattern by working on the largest one first. And now when you're working on it, just like so, here is another motif that I've been working on, and you can see the trim work. You can change colors at any point that you want in order to really make it customized for you. So let's get started on working on this fabulous tutorial together. Welcome back. We are about to start this motif, and this is the largest one of them all. This one takes the longest of them because it is the biggest. Very simple, but the interesting thing about this flower that caught me off guard and is catching a lot of people off guard is that the flower does not work from the center out. It's hollowed out, and when we're working on this, we're actually working as if it's patio lanterns, just like so. They're kind of dangling, and basically we want to work, and if you look at the petals just like so, the lines or the rows are going straight across, and you can see that here as well. They're just coming straight down, and essentially we are just doing one after another, and then this whole interior that you see that is joining it and making it thick is actually done afterward, and then essentially at the end we are just going to sew everything together so that it's forming the perfect ring. So it's one of those that's actually really kind of confusing for many people, because they don't realize that the petals are not being constructed from the inside going out, but they're in actual fact they're being constructed just like you see here, like patio lanterns hanging down, and at the end we just sew it together after we've done the center part, and voila, you are good to go. So when we're starting off, everything looks just like so, and essentially what's going to happen is that we are just going to crochet come, and then come to the next one, and basically we keep doing that until we get 7 petals all in a row. All of these have only 7 petals, and they're all constructed in the same manner. Now I put these white strings in here to really give you an indication, because we have rows 1 to 7 just inside one petal. Now the first one here, this is row number 3. The middle section of the petal is row number 4, and then we have row number 5 on the outside. But essentially from the middle to this side is identical from the middle to the other side, and once you understand that, you can start seeing that there's a relationship here, and this exists within all the different petals that we have. So let's begin. We are going to start off, and essentially again it's just starting off, and we're just going to do petal by petal. I'm going to do the first 2 petals for you, and then you can reverse the video if you need to, and then stop at when you get to 7, and then we're going to pick up from there, and we're going to fill out the middle part just like you see here, because that's all done afterward. If you're confused at any point in this video, please stop it and just kind of reflect. It is really not that hard, but I may go a little bit fast because I've been learning how to do these, and they're really quite simple. So let's start off with the slip stitch just like so. Slip it onto your needle and our hook, and we have chain 7. So this never counts as 1. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. So this essentially here, when you're looking at the original pattern as we're working all the way across, this is actually 7 working along the bottom here of the petal. Okay, so it's never the bottom, it's always the sides, and once you get that through your head, you can actually make a lot of sense of this. So round number 1, this is row number 1. We are just going to single crochet second from the hook, and we're going to single crochet all the way back to where you started. Now if you remember, we just skipped over 1 stitch in order to make this happen, so you will essentially have 6 single crochets left by the time you get to the other side. And that's important because it's something that you just have to keep in the back of your brain for when you're doing the reciprocal idea for this stitch. So we just finish off, and voila, very simple. We're now going to turn the work just like so, and we are going to chain 1. Now this one here, we are going to single crochet into the first 5, and then the last one, which is number 6, you're going to do 2 single crochets. So coming straight down underneath just like there, just single crochet. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So you can see you still have 1 more stitch to go, and in that stitch we want to do 2 single crochets, and this is what's going to make the flower starting to have a rounded shape because you've just added an extra stitch. So you can just see it's coming around and starting to form a little bit of a lip going around. So let's turn your work at this point, and we're moving up to row number 3. And in row number 3 it says chain 2, and this doesn't count as a half double crochet. So just chain 2. Bear with me for a second. So right underneath where you came out of is where you want to put in your first 2 half double crochets. So wrap and through, pull through all 3 on the hook. So that was 1, and do that again. Same stitch right underneath, and essentially you were growing the petal out to be more rounded. Now the very next 2 are going to be half double crochets. So the next 2 are half doubles, and then the final that we have is that we have single crochet. So there will be 4. So 1, 2, 3, and 4. So now we're moving on to row number 4. So let's turn the material again, and in row number 4, as I mentioned before, that's the halfway point. So let's chain 1, and we're going to single crochet into the first 4 single crochets. So this is 2, 3, and 4. So now the final 4 stitches here are going to be half double crochets, and this is your halfway point. So 1, 2, 3, and 4. So that was your half. That's your exact center of your petal right here. So let's turn the material and move up to row number 5. And in row number 5 it says to what's it say? It says chain 2, half double decrease, and then half doubles in the next 2 half double. Okay, so here we go. So 1 and 2. So now we're going to start doing decreasing. So we're just going to wrap and going into the stitch that is right underneath and pull through. So you will have 3 on your hook. Wrap, going into the very next one, pull through, and now you'll have 5 on your hook. And so you're going to grab the yarn and pull it through all 5, and that was a half double decrease. The next 2 are just going to be regular half doubles. Okay, and the next 4 are going to be single crochets. So essentially, if you remember then on row number 3, you know how we did the increase right here? We have 1 and 2, they're increasing. This here is making it decrease on the other side. So we're now going to turn our work, and we're just going to chain 1, and we're going to single crochet in the first 5 only. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And in the next we're going to do a single crochet decrease. So we're just going to go in, pull through, go into the very next one, pull through all 3. So we're now going to turn it, and we're just going to simply just chain up 1, and now we only have 6 single crochets in a row. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. And this completes doing 1 petal. So you can see that the petal is done, and you can see there it is. So you know that it's done right. So how do we do the next one? Very simply, we're going to do that next. Okay, so in row number 7 we had a lot of instructions here, and I'm going to simplify it for you. All I need you to do is that we need to chain 7. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. And essentially what the directions are telling you is go back on the directions to row number 2 and do row number 2 all the way to 7 one more time. And this here, when you chain this, this is actually the next one that's leaning over. Okay, so that's not the bottom, it's underneath, and a lot of people get confused by that. So let's begin doing this petal next. So looking at the instructions for saying next row after row number 7, what we need to do is just chain up 1, and that counts as your very first one going in. So right over here, this next section right here is your very first one going in. So we're just going to do a single crochet, and we just have to get 6 into the sides of these stitches. So this is 2, you just have to eye it up, 3, 4, and it will take you all the way to the other side. So this is 6. So now what we have to do is that we just have to jump into the next petal right on the edge and just simply put in 6 or 7 single crochets. The reason why there's 6 on here is that that chaining of 1 counted as 1. So this is 2, just putting it in 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. And 7 should take you to the other side of the petal just like so. So again, just continue to do that and just immediately going into the next one for a single crochet. So just for 7, 1, 2. So now done all the way. So I got 7 and now I'm just going to turn my work and you can see it's been a lot more stabilized now that you've done one round. So this is the very last round or row that we have for this particular project. And so it says chain 1, single crochet into the first 5 and then single double crochet into the next and do that 7 times. So we're just going to chain 1 and we're just going to do 5. So 1, 2, 3 and 4 and 5, and so then the final 2 in between here will get a single double or a single decrease. So wrapping through, grab the next one, wrapping through, so you have 3, and essentially what this is doing is that it's causing it now to bend into a circle. So now let's do the next 5. So 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5, and the next 2 are single decreases. So wrapping through, and pull through. So again, 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5, and then decrease. So do this all the way across. Your last stitches will be this decrease as you get all the way to the other side, and we will catch you back up in a second. We're going to fasten this together, and then what we're just going to do is just finalize the edge of this particular project. So I've now come all the way across and we are officially done, but what I want to do before I get rid of my yarn and fasten it off is that I want to secure this into a circle. Make sure that when you're doing this at this point that it's not twisted and twirled, and all essentially I'm just going to do is that I only want to grab, see where this is grabbing right at the ends here? I don't want to attach the petals so that they're attached all the way down the petals. So essentially I just want to reach across and I just want to use my yarn and I want to pull it together. You can use a sewing needle if you wish to sew these together, or you can just grab your crochet hook and just kind of single crochet them or slip stitch them together. I'm just going to slip stitch them together at this point. So it just makes it look consistent going all the way around. Grabbing my scissors, I want to trim my edges off like this, coming in, and when I go to finish this off I want to make sure that I'm coming back in to the work and just making sure that I'm catching everything that I possibly can catch so that you know this won't fall apart afterward, and voila, you now have an edge. So I just need a little more time to be able to perfect this edge so that they're both kind of working together with each other instead, and other than that we just got to work on our final perimeter going all the way around. So what's left on this project at this point is the final trim, and you will notice that the edges look pretty rough. And this is the reason why we haven't gone around our trim. So you can use either different color if you wished, or you can just use the same color, which I'm about to. And essentially we just want to create an area here. So I'm just going to come down right in between any of the petals. It doesn't matter where I start. I'm just going to grab the loop and voila. And I'm going to let the straggler just fall down, and essentially I'm going to chain 1, and I'm simply just going to go into every stitch that you can possibly get into on the sides of the petal. You can see the stitches there. It's the challenge of the tops of these petals and where to find the stitches. It's actually no big deal. So you just want to make it look like it's evenly spaced if you're having a hard time with that. So essentially now I'm starting to work in just the sides here, and essentially I'm just kind of eyeing it up and making it look pretty, and I'm just going 1 stitch into each row as I'm going around. Now when you do this, you're going to notice that the petal is going to lean forward, it's going to flip forward, and that's part of the design. If you notice the little girl holding the pillow, the flower actually leans forward towards you in the camera. So now that I'm on the other side of this, I'm simply just going to come into the stitches on the other side, and because I'm using the same color, you know, you can be a little bit lazy, I suppose you can say. It's when you get an opposite contrasting color that it gets really kind of confusing. So now that I'm done all the way down one petal, I simply am going to jump to the next, and we're just going to single crochet around just like I just showed you, and do this all the way around, and when you get back we're just going to slip stitch it, and voila, this entire motif is now done, and it's actually looking quite fabulous at this point. Now, as promised, all the way back around, and we just want to slip stitch it to the beginning one that we had, like so, and we just want to weave in our edges, and this is going to finalize your motif for this part, and this is the biggest one of them all. This one takes the longest of them all, and once you understand the concepts here, the rest becomes so much easier because these petals get shorter and shorter as you work along your particular project. So just continue to do that, weave in the edges, and don't be scared to do anything with the colors, and voila, just trim off your loose ends, and as promised, you can see that the leaves now, or the petals now, pull forward, and that's exactly how it appears. So there you have it. You've now finished your largest motif, and now you're ready to move along to the next motif that sits directly above this one, and that's video number 4. So join me in video number 4 as we work on the next size, and the stitch work is very similar to the idea, but there's a few less stitches to work on because the petals are smaller. So join me next time here on video number 4 on redheart.com as well as the Crochet Crowd. Until next time, we'll see you.